Hi, I'm Yui Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating sociologists.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to the Dateable podcast. Hello, our Dateable friends, our Dateable family, our Dateable posse. We're so happy to have you back for a special episode. Now, every episode is special, but this one's extra special because we're taking you into a behind-the-scenes look at our show, Exit Interview. The full season is out there for you to binge on.
It's in the world. We've released it. It's all there. I think this project is near and dear to us because I don't know about you, Yue, but when I was dating, I was always thinking, what is going on in the minds of others? What is that reason that I didn't get the text back? Or they didn't ask me on the second date? Was it something I did? Was it something going on in their lives? We really have no idea with so many people that we're dating what's up with them.
No.
So I think this is such a unique experience. And I'm so glad we were able to do it with more people because when we did it with Jason,
Right.
it was so eye-opening at just how many misunderstandings there were. And we've seen that before when we've done these social experiments, even outside of Exit Interview, like when we send people on a blind date. It's like one person's perception is completely different. We always are like, did you guys go on the same date?
Because we look at the world through our own lens, so there are just infinite ways to interpret someone's words, someone's actions. Why does someone do this? What are their motives? And if we keep spinning our wheels trying to guess what other people are trying to say to us, we're going to get nowhere because then we end up just echoing all the insecurities we have in our mind. But if we get it from the source, the person you're wondering about, then you can just kind of put that to bed and say, okay, now I know what their motives were. So we did that for 10 courageous daters on the Exit Interview.
Brave souls.
If you haven't had a chance to listen or don't know much about the show, just a recap. It's a separate show from Dateable. It's a limited series that we did in conjunction with iHeart. Every episode featured a different dater, and we would interview their exes, former flames, former crushes, sometimes their friends, about what went wrong. So now they can move on with their lives and find the love lives that they want. And the daters range anything from a single mom to someone understanding her sexuality to someone who's never been on a date before or claims that he's never been on a date before.
Myth debunked.
We went through the whole gamut, right, of who are the daters and why they think they can't find the love life that they want. And all of them walked away with takeaways that they never thought they could have if we didn't interview their exes.
And I know this sounds really scary to people. I'm still unsure if I would do this myself. It is terrifying. Because I think the fear is you're going to get all this feedback that's like, oh, you're undateable. You're not someone that can date. But that really wasn't what we saw at all. I'm not saying spoilers, but I think like people can go in thinking this is actually going to be helpful and hopeful. When we reconnected with a lot of the daters, they have this like pep in their step that they did not have before doing this.
Right.
So
yes,
I think that we always think that when we get feedback, it's going to be like something that's, core to who we are as a person or something wrong with us. But that really isn't the case. The idea is to see patterns. And sometimes it's just, quite frankly, the people we're picking. But a lot of times it's the way we're showing up that's really not who we are in life. Or it's communication or it's something going on that we have like this date persona, but not the real self is coming through. So there's so many reasons that are actually not representative of who we are to the core in any way.
I mean, that's like almost every day, right? Because this is why we're so afraid of feedback is because we're afraid of it confirming our deepest, darkest insecurities.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with the way you look and you don't want to give feedback because you think it's going to confirm exactly all the bad things you're saying to yourself. And what we learned from the Exit Interview is none of those insecurities were confirmed. In fact, all it was just miscommunication. Like, for example, Tia is one of them. She was our resident cool girl syndrome. And she was wondering why all these people she dated didn't want anything more serious. And everybody we interviewed, they said, I would have if she asked for it or if she even brought it up.
Yeah.
But she never even brought it up. Like, how crazy is that? She spent all these years thinking, I'm just not girlfriend material.
Yeah.
I'm not relationship material. Just to chalk it up to miscommunication, not bringing up your needs.
Yeah. Or the way that she was being perceived was that she wasn't looking for something serious at all.
Yes. Yes.
So fascinating. I mean, I admit feedback is hard. It's a struggle for me. I think especially if you're perfectionist mentality, if you have like a worthiness wound, which I do, I think sometimes it can be hard to hear certain things. But what I found too is even if my immediate reaction is to react, if I like sit with it for a little, then I'm like, oh, this actually is helpful. This actually is a good idea. Doesn't mean that what I did was bad or wrong or I'm not good enough. It's just helping to build to a better you or whatever you're putting out there. So it's hard to go against our knee-jerk reaction, but feedback really is such a gift if you're willing to hear it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I feel like feedback just elicits this offensive way of behavior where you're like, I got to defend myself.
Yes.
And I have to prove that I'm right and they're wrong. But it's not about that. Feedback is about bringing people closer towards a similar goal. And we hear that time and time again on Exit Interview is the feedback here is to help you. Nobody said anything that was so petty where you're like, was that feedback really necessary? The people who do give you petty feedback, then you know that, thank God you're not together. You dodged a bullet. This is not the right person for you.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere, I think it actually is the word feedback. You're right. It does bring this defensiveness where if you ask for advice, then it's someone collaborating with you and trying to help.
Advice.
So instead of saying like, can I get feedback on my dating profile, someone's going to tear it apart, right? Can I get advice to make it better? Then they might be giving you the exact same quote unquote feedback, but you're going to take it in a totally different way.
Yeah, definitely. I just went through 360 reviews at work, but it's very formulaic the way you give feedback. You first start with what they're doing right.
Yep.
And then you go into what feedback do you have for me as your manager? What can I do better? So then it immediately puts their guards down and then you give them like the actual feedback. And I think in relationships, we can kind of do the same. Always come from a place of love when giving feedback. But then it's reciprocal. If you can give feedback, you should be able to take that feedback, okay? Be prepared for it.
I actually think the exit interview is so pivotal in dating, and more people should be doing these, even if they're not on our show.
Yes.
Because when you think about it, a relationship, all you're doing is giving feedback.
Right.
But you have to do it live. You can't just like get it. And you have to basically formulate it in what you were saying, right? In the way you say it.
It's really tough. You have to separate your emotions, disconnect from your knee-jerk reactions, and really receive it. But damn, it's a hard skill
It really is
to master. But you know what? Our 10 daters went through it. We're hoping for a second season, right? Get more of y'all through this process.
Yeah. And Yue and I were curious of if you were to do a hypothetical exit interview, what feedback would you want to hear? What would you want to know from that ex or situationship? Or maybe it was a first date that you thought went really freaking well and you never heard from them again.
Yep.
Whatever the situation, what would you like to know? I want to read a few of the ones we got in because there were definitely some good ones. It was hard to pick just a few, to be honest, but these ones definitely stood out.
It's fun when it's hypothetical because you're like, okay, at least I don't have to really ask for the feedback.
Oh, exactly. You're like, I can ask anything. Could I have done anything differently to make you stay?
Yeah.
There were a lot of those that came through.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that.
Here's a good one. Why did you ghost me so abruptly after 7 months and so many plans for the future?
Oh, damn. It's very specific.
Yeah. Ghosting after 7 months? That's brutal.
That's bullshit. That person better be dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just bad.
Like, not wishing bad things on you, but we kind of hope you're in the hospital if we don't hear from you for 7 months.
Yeah, you have amnesia or like, you're debilitated somehow because there's no excuse for something like that. That's just so cowardly.
There's no way we would have got that person on exit interview if they're not even willing to talk to you.
Oh, I know. No way in hell. What would you want to know, Julie, from your exes?
What would I want to know? Trying to think, because I feel like with probably the most important ex, I feel like I did flesh out a lot of this, so I kind of know what he would say. I'd probably want to think about it more as a pattern, less about like a specific instance, because I think I've accepted significant exes I had, like those weren't going to work out. So I'd probably want to know what people thought were kind of the quality that stood out the most to them of what I could give to a relationship, just so I could like know, what was helpful to people along the way. And then also if there was anything that they felt like detracted from our connection. Did they ever feel that I did things that impacted how they viewed themselves or anything that I might have done without realizing? Because I wouldn't want to do that in the future. So I guess my answer would be anything that I could apply to my future relationship by learning from the past.
How very mature and productive of you to think in that way. I get a little petty. I'm like, if I didn't end the relationship first, do you think that you would have wanted something more? Yeah, there were so many. I was such a Tia back then. I cut off relationships before they could really turn into anything. But now I constantly wonder, if I didn't preemptively end it, do you think you would have wanted to pursue something more? That's question number one. Question number two would have been like, was there anything I did that was super annoying that you just couldn't say to my face? I like to know, right? Like, if there's pattern that, then I would like to know. But I think ultimately, most importantly, I would want to know that what do you think after dating me for a certain amount of time, what do you think I stand for? What do you think my values are? Because
I like that.
Nowadays, all I wonder about is, am I showing to the world, is it aligned with my values? And is that clear? Is that loud and clear to people who meet me? Because if my exes can't pinpoint what my values were, that shows where the problem was.
I like that. Or also just like, how would you describe me? Because I would want to know if the way that someone described me was in line with how I saw myself, for better or for worse. I think that would be really interesting. I know when I was in the thick of dating, though, and I had trouble like getting past that third date, I probably would have been like, why didn't you move forward?
Yeah.
And looking back in retrospect, I think I wasn't fully ready for a relationship, and maybe that came off on dates and I didn't see it. I just remember I'd be curious to ask this guy, not that it matters in any way, but there was one person I dated for just a little, like it wasn't anything super long, and he was a few years older than me, but significantly more mature. And I remember like talking about, going out and doing all this stuff. And he was just kind of like, okay, and then he sent me that text like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see this going anywhere.
Oh.
So I always thought it was because I kind of came off immature and, maybe he just wasn't the right fit for me. Probably, clearly at that stage, definitely not. But the best part is years later, it was 4th of July weekend and I was going to a park and they wouldn't let you bring like bottles in. So I
you buried the bottles.
No, I remember I like chugged some champagne in the parking lot of the grocery store with my friends. We like couldn't bring it forward.
Oh my God.
I turned around and he was there. And I was like, of course, that's who's here in this moment.
And he's like, yep.
Dodged a bullet.
Not much has changed. And he probably went home and told all his friends, remember that girl?
Yeah. He's probably like, I was right.
I thought you were going to say, because you know how people in San Francisco, before music festivals, they go the day before and bury alcohol throughout the park, for outside lands. It's a thing because alcohol is so expensive. You can't bring anything in. So people bury them before the concerts start. And then they, once they're in, they just have to remember. I thought you were going to say he caught you burying alcohol.
I don't know. They're both equally up there.
That's equally as bad. That's pretty damn bad. Yeah, but you're right. Who knows though, right? You're thinking that he might have thought that. Maybe he was like, maybe he was like, she's really conservative.
Maybe. Or maybe he just met someone else. That's the other part, is you never know when you're falling in.
You never know.
Remember the infamous person that ghosted me that you found on Bumble?
I think about him all the time.
Yue set up her fake profile, found him. I'm still shocked you found him.
I've never been more invested. Like, it was not even someone I went out on a date with. I was so invested in this guy.
But now we realize through heavy stalking that he is engaged to someone that he probably met actually before me. you know?
It was the same girl, yeah.
Yeah, it was someone that he met before me. So you just don't know where people are at. Like maybe you're taking a break. Like you just can't compete with that, right?
I know.
Like I took it so personally, right?
Well, of course you took it personally because you had such a great date. You thought there was a great connection. You were physically very attracted to him. So it didn't make sense why he would make plans for a date and then just completely ghost in communication. But I get it. Like sometimes, I hate to admit this, but sometimes we are other people's fluffers for blossoming relationships.
You don't know.
Think about it as like you're paying it forward because you allowed them to see how much they truly like this other person. And
I'm happy. I'm happy for him, right? He ended up with who he was meant to be.
Yes.
I ended up with who I was meant to be.
Yes.
It all worked out.
It worked out.
Okay, here's a good one that we got from Instagram. Did you think of me before you cheated and decide to go through with it, or was I just not on your radar?
Oh, damn.
That would have been a good one.
That one came with knives. It's like stab, stab, stab. Yeah,
Wait, here's a good one. Did you ever figure out why I left you at the airport?
This is like a ghoster. Oh, wow. We should do an episode with these two.
I know. I love this. This person just sent us the name of the person that you left at the airport. We'll have them on the next season and we'll get you as one of the people that talks about them.
Hey, casting call right now. Were you left at the airport? DM us now to be on our show.
You know who I'd love to interview? This is a throwback to early season. We had one of our friends on that was on a date with someone. They went to a corn dog festival at like a food trucks. The guy left to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And he never came back. The bathroom bail.
The infamous bathroom bailer.
I'd love to hear what was going on in his mind.
We do have his name. We could make this happen.
Should text him, be like, hey, I know it's been like 10 years, but...
He's like, I'm still stuck in the bathroom at the corn dog festival.
Well, he did text her to say that he went home, so pretty sure.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
pretty
fine.
sure he is long gone. There's probably like 20 people he did that to.
That could be a whole season.
Here's an interesting one. Why did she ruin a good thing? FYI, she keeps trying to get me back.
Yeah, okay. That one is pretty deep. Well, yeah, that could be also a theme on Exit Interview where the on again, off again relationship and why the person just can't stick around.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I've been there.
Yes, you have.
I feel like I don't know this person's scenario clearly, but it probably has more to do with her than it has to do with him if she's trying to get him back still.
For sure.
It's probably something blocking her in some way.
Yeah.
We also got one that just said, I've moved on. Don't care what my ex has to say.
Oh, dun, dun, snap, snap.
Here's a nice one, a nice sentimental one. What good things they've picked up, learned, or taken with them from the past relationship experience.
That's very sweet.
So
That's
sweet.
The opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
On the nice spectrum.
And then the last one I'll read today is, what's my worst feature for the sake of bettering myself?
Ooh.
It's kind of aligned with yours of what's annoying about me. Kind of the same.
I don't know. I hope. Oh, feature though. I just like
feature's
thinking it
bad.
gets personal. Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't ask what's annoying about me. I just don't want to know.
You wouldn't want to know.
I'm not ready for the feedback.
I would much prefer that one than what feature do
Yeah,
you
feature.
not like about. I don't want my ex to be like, your left eye. Really fucking annoying.
Yeah, I would not want to do that. Oh my God.
So many things.
Do you think any of your exes or people you've dated, doesn't have to be an ex, would ever do the exit interview? Let's say hypothetically you had a casting agency like we did, call up your ex and be like, Yue Shu is doing this thing called the exit interview. Would you help her out and give the feedback? What do you think your exes would do?
I think all of them would politely decline. They just would. I think all of my exes have moved on. So that's the positive. But I just tend to like personalities that don't like much attention.
Yeah.
And they would hate to be on a show and have their voices recorded. Oh my God, it'd be horrendous. Horrendous.
My current partner would never do it.
No, I can never see him doing it.
Never. He's never going to be on this podcast. Sorry, guys.
Nope.
UA's probably not either.
Hell no. Nope.
And then my ex, the one from the UK, would never do it. My most serious ex would do it in a heartbeat.
I know.
He's been dying
and
to be on this show for years.
Him on the show. Because ironically, I've never met the guy.
I know.
I've never spoken to the guy.
So weird. There was a brief thought that I had, and I was like, this is a bad idea. I had a brief thought. I haven't talked to him in over a year. I was like, would it be kind of interesting if UA did an exit interview with him and I wasn't on? But then I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It would be interesting, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he would totally do it, but the question then is, what are you trying to get out of it? Right?
Nothing.
Like, I think you already know, why it ended. I think it's more for him. Like, does he want to get the exit? I do the exit interview with you for him to listen to. That might be more helpful.
I know. I was like, there's no good that could come out of this besides opening a can of worms.
Other than, maybe entertainment value for our listeners, but not for your own mental health.
Sorry, all. I care about you deeply, but there's only so far I can go.
When we were interviewing Vince and Eureka from The One That Got Away on Amazon, and he was saying that they brought people from his past without him knowing, so that they basically scoured his Instagram and Facebook to see who's commented, who's liked his pictures, and then reach out to these women and said, hey, do you want to be on this show? So I think that actually would be a more funny experiment. Funny as in funny for other people to listen to, is if we surprise you with the quote unquote exes.
Well, yeah.
Versus like you telling us who we talk to. We choose them for you.
It's like when you get reviews at work, right? When you give the people, there's a better chance they're going to say something nice than if people pick some people at random. Could be more interesting. Could be that ex that you didn't want us to call.
Right. The ex or like the one you ghosted and you forgot about.
Yeah, that would be good. On that show, remember there was one girl that had a guy come through what they called the portal. That's how they came through. Still most underrated reality TV show ever. UA and I were very into that. We were like texting nonstop. We're binging the whole thing.
Obsessed.
Anyways, do you remember the one where the guy came out and was like, hey, and she was like, I have no idea who you are.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It was so awkward. She's like, hey. Who are you?
Yeah.
He's like, study hall in college? You don't remember me?
Like, what? I feel like that happened to a few of them.
Well, one of our guests, Kyle, he was kind of a rando for the person that was on The One That Got Away. They met at a conference.
Yeah.
But ironically, as we talked to people from Kyle's background, he met a lot of people from conferences.
I know. That was his way.
So he's just like, yeah, this is totally normal. The girl's like, who are you again?
I know.
Okay, before we keep going into this, let's hold that thought for a quick break.
This episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. Did you know that HelloFresh does more than just delicious dinners? Not only can you take your pick from 40 weekly recipes, but you can choose from over 100 items to round out your order. From snacks and easy lunches to desserts and pantry necessities. Everything arrives in one box on a delivery day you choose. No more scouring the grocery store for that one ingredient to complete your recipe. HelloFresh takes away all that hassle by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients so you have exactly what you need and helps you cut down on food waste. HelloFresh is also my secret to having great dinner parties. It takes all the pre-planning out of the equation so I can spend more time on other things like the playlist and table settings. My friends are guaranteed to enjoy the meals I make and think I'm some sort of incredible chef. So, want 16 free meals? Go to HelloFresh.com/Dateable16 and use the code Dateable16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/Dateable16 and use the code Dateable16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Mother's Day is going to be here before you know it. It's May 14th, in case you forgot. And if you don't get mom the perfect gift, she probably won't be angry, just disappointed. And we all know how that feels. So why take the chance? And sure, flowers are fine if you like to be totally predictable. Go with drinks this year instead and raise a glass to the woman who raised you with Drizzly, the go-to app for alcohol delivery. Browse our curated selection of beer, wine, and spirits and send them near, far, or to wherever the moms in your life are. Oh, and here's the bonus. You can get her favorites delivered without breaking the bank, though mom doesn't need to know that. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and send the best drinks to the best moms in plenty of time for Mother's Day. Ding dong, it's Drizzly. Must be 21 plus and not available in all locations.
Are you struggling to lose weight and keep it off? Tired of wasting time and money on starvation diets that lead to more frustration and stress? If there was a weight loss solution that could actually work for you, would you try it? Then head to Golo.com.
I'm Steve. I lost 138 pounds in 9 months on Golo.
I'm Amber. I've lost 128 pounds with Golo Taking Release.
If you're ready to take back control of your life, head to Golo.com now and see how Golo can work for you. That's GOLO.com.
My sleep is way better. My inflammation has gone way down. Golo saved my life. I was way overweight. That's what sent me down the path. I wanted to make sure and live for my kid.
I have literally tried everything. I was on the verge of getting gastric bypass surgery, and I saw the Golo commercial, and it was the last thing I tried because it worked.
Join over 2 million people who have found a better way to lose weight with Golo. Your healthier and happier life begins at Golo.com. That's GOLO.com. Again, GOLO.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.
Before we get into how we made the show kind of like behind the scenes, all the shit that went down,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, Julie, if we were to interview your exes, what do you think is the number one piece of feedback they would give you? What do you think all of your exes combined would say? The one common theme.
All of them combined.
Yeah.
I feel like this is so hard because I feel like the person I was at different stages is so different. So I'll say that. But I think probably the one overarching was maybe to have more trust in them, that I would feel like I would get anxious and feel like they wouldn't follow through with things when they really did. That definitely was a recurring theme. And I am not sure if they felt it. I am just saying that. I'd be curious if they felt it because I remember being like, oh my God, is this date happening? Is it doing it? And they would just be like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at this time. Like it was no big deal. So I feel like there were a few moments, and that's something I've had to work through in my dating life in general. I think maybe my exes that were more serious would have caught on that I was feeling that way, like past dates and stuff. Probably they didn't see me frantically sweating it out, but I'm curious if they would have taken notice to that.
Yeah, that's good.
What about you?
I know, again, projecting because we don't know, but I know that they would all say that I live my life too independently to a fault where I don't consider their lives when making decisions.
I could see that.
And I can see a pattern where every relationship I've been in, I've made some major life choice or decision without them. And they either had to get on board or get off this UA train. And that's kind of why a lot of these relationships didn't work out. So this current relationship has taught me that I have to account for someone else's life and well-being when making these life decisions.
Yep, it's the only child syndrome sneaking through.
Yeah, it is. And just the product of being independent and single for so long that you're like, wait, this is my life. Like, why do I have to think about someone else?
I feel like I'm guilty of that sometimes too. Even my current partner has called me out before of don't let your alarm go off 20 times because I'm trying to sleep. Or can you let me know when you're recording so I can use the bathroom?
Wait, explain to people why that is, because people might be like, wait, he can't use the bathroom?
The way my recording is set up, and I live in a 1-bed, 1-bath, so there's one bath. There's not many other options to go to. The recording area is right in front of the bathroom. And is this long-term sustainable? Probably not, but most of the time, he's not here.
Julie, I know what I'm getting you for your 40th birthday. A porta potty to go on your balcony so that we no longer have to run into this problem.
I told
he can't go to the bathroom as he pleases.
Honestly, all he asked was that I share my Google Calendar with him so he knows our recording schedule. And I'm like, easy enough. But it's stuff like that sometimes you're right. It's like you've been single for a while.
Yeah.
You don't think about that. And it's an easy ask. But that's what I mean by like feedback is continuous through your relationship. And the art of giving it is something that both of us had to learn of how do each of us operate. How do we deliver that feedback in a way that helps the relationship, makes the person want to do the feedback or politely say no. What we learned from therapy is you can say no to the feedback. You don't always have to do it. So it's a lifelong skill, that's for sure.
That's why we need a second season.
so
badly.
Hint.
Okay, so we also asked you, what are your burning questions for us when it comes to exit interview? So Kate asked, what's the juiciest thing that came out of an exit interview?
Juiciest?
What do you think is the juiciest?
Ooh.
I still think the upgrade to first class one was like, maybe not juicy, but ridiculous.
I kind of feel like Tia's, I don't want to give too much away, but the exit interview like reconnected with her with someone.
Oh, yes.
That was pretty juicy.
Yes.
We were not
That
expecting that when they revealed it. We were just like, wait, what? Like you're back in touch because of us? That's pretty juicy.
Yes. And Kyle also had a reconnection.
Yes.
With someone too after the show. Yeah, maybe that's the juiciest. Were there more exes asked for feedback and not aired? Oh, yeah.
There were, I would say it was
not too many
exes as much. There was one that we had to cut just because there were too many people. And that was sad because we did want all their feedback. That was in Justin's. He had a lot of friends give feedback.
Yeah.
But I think the only ones that were really cut is if we didn't have enough exes to round it out.
Right.
Like if we had a person that was there, like if there was one guy, remember we talked to a really very vibrant person. Remember the one that like they met at like a Green Day concert? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
That's another like behind the scenes is there were some
because there were so many recordings.
So many. So sometimes I did them solo. Sometimes Yue did them solo. I always wondered if people could tell because when I'm listening to it, I'm like, I've been asking a lot of questions, and where's Yue?
Right.
Oh, she wasn't there. Right. So that's kind of a behind the scenes, but we didn't air a couple when we just couldn't get enough of a story, right? Or there weren't enough people or
True.
They only had exes that were very minimal information or someone they were just like, yeah, they're a great person. It's like, okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Right. Well, part of the exit interview process is like flying a plane while building it because we have to interview the exes in order to get the story. And if we don't get a story, then we can't go on with the episode.
Right.
And if we don't have enough to fill that hour, then that's an episode we have to scrap. So that has happened, but not too often.
There was one guy, made me think of it, that we really wanted to pursue because he really wanted to find love. And he seemed like, someone that was interesting. He refused to use dating apps, absolutely refused.
Yeah.
And he went on like 1 or 2 dates a year and it just, you could pull from that. So it did actually make me appreciate dating apps. And I know like people are still skeptical, but I'm also like, yeah, you can leave it to fate, but you might be waiting for a long time. Like, why not do both? Why not use all the tools at your disposal?
It's hard.
If that's what you want. I feel like you're kind of just getting in your own way by not doing something that's so prominent in today's world.
I know. We really wanted to find the exes for him. And for some others who did make it to the final cut, is that their more significant exes didn't want to be on the show.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's always going to be a product of making a show, is that it's still got to have entertainment value. And some people just don't want to air their dirty laundry. Someone else asked, when is the next season coming? And then another person asked, how can we be on the show? Well, all very fabulous questions that we hope to answer for you very soon. You know what will help us is if you go to Exit Interview on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star rating, and then in the body of your reviews, ask these questions.
Yes.
When is the next season coming? How can I be on the show? Unlike Dateable, where we have full control, iHeart has full control of Exit Interview. So it's up to them whether they want to fund a second season, which I hope they do. When does the next season start? A good question, Randy. We're hoping very soon.
Thanks, Randy.
How did we find the participants? How did we source our guests?
I want to give a major shout out to Abby and Katya, who we had for a bit of it. But Abby was our producer, and I'm still so amazed by her. She was just like the jack of all trades, or the Jill of all trades, whatever you want to call it. She was just, in there. She's messaging people. She found Anchi, which was a really great episode. This is the one that left someone behind in first class. That was his major ex. And honestly,
he left.
Yes, he left her
in first class.
Yes.
It left her in economy when he upgraded himself in first class. He claims he doesn't remember.
Yes. But that was such a pivotal part, getting her on the episode. If we didn't have her, it would not have made the story. We might have had to scrap that one. And it was such a good one. She went on LinkedIn to find this girl.
Yes.
She was in freaking Asia and she called in.
She found every which way you can stalk an ex.
Yeah.
She was able to get a guest.
So this was a process. I would say this was probably the most difficult part of the entire thing. I mean, there were a lot of difficult parts, but this was probably the most time intensive that we did not account for the right time. You all don't know that the Exit Interview was supposed to launch a little earlier than it actually did. It's all good. March was a good time for it to launch.
Actually.
But a big part of the delay was casting. We started off with a casting agency, which I still don't know if was the right call.
Say, let's not forget, the first step was how we were sold on this project was we don't have to do anything but just to show up for the recordings because there was going to be a casting agency casting for all these people. And in the first round, this casting agency sent us like 50 people on this list. And we're like, whoa, it's going to be awesome. As we went through the list, maybe like one or two really fit the show. And the other people just wanted to be, I don't know, quote unquote, famous on a reality TV show, which I don't know. I don't know how that happens if you don't never show your face. But still, like, this is what happens when you put out casting calls.
Casting is,
right? You're like getting to the people who are influencers or wannabe actors, etc.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they're not like really trying to get feedback here. They just want exposure.
Yeah.
So we scrapped that pretty fast, but then had to go pretty grassroots on the casting process.
Yeah, and there were a few people that came in through the casting agency. So I don't want to say it was a total bust, but there were a lot of people that were not the right fit. But we did actually pull some from our Dateable audience. So that was really great. I wonder if people can guess who were the ones pulled from the Dateable audience. I bet people can.
If you're in our community, you see them commenting sometimes. They were fabulous.
Yes, we had a few that were from Dateable. And then this was a fun one. We had Deborah was actually someone that gave feedback to Chris. And then she's like, hey, I could do this. So we're like, great. And then she was a new subject. So it kind of was a snowball in that one. I feel like Justin and Tia, somehow Abby got connected to in the wilds. Like they were some networking connection or something. Yeah, there were a few. It was very interesting how it all played out. But honestly, if I was to look at the original list we got compared to how we netted out, I think we netted out so much better.
Yeah.
The diversity of people, the introspection of people, just the willingness to learn was so much better than I think what we would have gotten if it was purely people that wanted to be quote unquote famous.
In our initial pitch to iHeart, we had to do this whole presentation with a deck. We came out with these personas of ideal storylines that we wanted to pursue. So the casting agency took that and tried to find people who fit the mold. So of course we wanted a reformed fuckboy. We wanted someone who was a single parent. You know, there were these personas that we were really looking for, but what is so magical about who we found in the final season was that some of them were not on our persona list. But when we met them, we're like, damn, we didn't think of this one. This is good. Like, this is really good.
Some of them were. We did have a reform fuckboy.
Oh, yeah. Sure. We have a reform fuckboy. Like someone on a boyfriend track. That's a great persona.
Oh, my God,
So
yes.
it just shows that there's so much more. But I do think what sold this show to iHeart was the diversity of personas we wanted to pursue to make it very relatable that, everyone's going through this, no matter who you are.
Yeah, you are definitely not alone. I think there's something in everyone, too, that people can relate to with their own dating lives.
Yeah.
And maybe even the people that don't strike you as the original people you thought would be more encompassing. I know I learned from some of the folks that on paper didn't appear that we had anything in common.
Right.
But I took some stuff away from it. So I think it's a really great exercise, not just to listen because it's awesome, but to listen to all of them because it will help your dating life.
Then one last question. How can I be a guest if there's a second season?
Well, I'm glad that people want to be guests because this was half the battle. So this is very exciting.
Right. Well, we knew this too. With any reality show, you got to have an inaugural season so people can prove that this is doable and it's not that scary. And then you no longer have to source people. They just come to you. We hope that that is what will happen with our second season. Anything else that didn't air? We've definitely had some people turn off their cameras and change their names. So
yes.
Still to this day, some of these exes, I have no idea what they look like and what their real name is. We had a few change names.
Yep.
We've had some no-shows. And those
a lot of no-shows. Oh, my God. You would be like, we're here. Nope.
Yeah, every time it's just, it's a crapshoot. You're like, hey, maybe this person will show up and maybe they won't.
I think the best one, you were not there for this one, Yue, but the guy that I was talking to, his camera was like in his nose. Like
terrible angle.
And he was talking forever. We didn't even end up airing it because we couldn't get it. And he was saying some kind of brutal stuff. Of all the ones, I do want to give a shout out to our team too. We had Sam Martin and Jennifer Jacobs. So Sam was from Frolic, which is our network we've been with. They're the ones that we worked with iHeart. Mm-hmm. And she was a producer as well. And then Jen Jacobs was the editor. And like I mentioned, Abby was our producer, the kind of one running the whole show. And then we also had Katya for a bit. And I think some of my favorite times was when we just all met to talk about, like, what are we going to do here? We had a lot of strategy sessions, but Yue and I were like, it's fun to work with a team. It's fun to see everyone come alive and get as excited and invested as we are, because we have a little bit of a team now on Dateable. I don't want to say we don't. We have a great editor, Stefan, and we have Janice who helps with sounding board and moderation. So we do have some team, but in the production, like, it was fun to have those folks.
Not to mention all female team.
Yes.
Very badass female team with very strong skill set all across the board. That was just so empowering to be part of. And also just like Jen with the post-production magic. Each episode went through, we think, 6-7 rounds of edits.
Yeah.
And she would have to do shit like, can you add a reaction here? Because there's so much silence. So she would take a from anywhere else in the interview and shift it around. That's how these episodes get made, because what you hear in real time, there is a lot of dead air. There's just a lot of like trying to figure out what the point of the story is.
Yeah.
But we had a limit to how long each episode could be. So Jen had to cut everything very succinctly and fit it all in and add in those reactions whenever relevant. So damn, she's a magician.
Just for the record, though, we did not change the story with that. It was more just that.
I mean,
we recorded for an hour and a half and we had to get it down in under an hour. That was the guideline. So there was at least 30 minutes that had to get cut. So the way it flowed originally might not be the way it does because of that. I think that's like actually a good behind the scenes that Yue and I talked about this. We would be exhausted after doing these episodes because it's different than Dateable where we just talk, especially like the episode we're doing now. This is not draining to either of us. It's very easy. It just feels like you and I are having a convo right now. But when we were doing these, we have to analyze. There was a lot of brain power that was happening because we had an idea of where the story was, but not fully.
Yeah.
Until you're in it, you're hearing the feedback, you're hearing the other side of the story. We did hear like some of the feedback, obviously, ahead of time as we talked to the exes and past dates, whoever. So we had an idea, but we didn't know the other side of it until we talked to the person. And also, we had never met the main person until that recording.
Right.
So we were kind of trying to get a vibe of them and figure out what was holding them back, even outside of the feedback we got to fill in the story. Because a lot of times, I think this is something that was really difficult, but what I would say makes you and I maybe the right people for this job is that you have to read between the lines sometimes. What people say is part of it, clearly, but there's a lot of meaning. And then you also have to recognize patterns. Just hearing one person be like, oh, that person was annoying, like that doesn't do anything.
Right.
What is it, that's the underarching thing that actually is going to impact this dater? That was hard.
Yeah. This is also why we did video, because a lot of it is nonverbal communication.
Yes.
Someone could be like, I'm totally fine, and look like they're about to cry. Like, wait, your face is telling me a different story. Why is that? This is why this whole experiment and project is so nuanced. What you hear is such a beautifully, cleanly packaged 12-episode series, but it was a very messy story-finding process in it all. And we didn't know the dater. We didn't meet the dater till after we met their exes. So she and I would have already an image of who this person was.
Yeah.
And then we meet them, and a lot of times they kind of surprised us.
Yeah.
It's just so fun. It's so fun to be on the side of it. We're so happy that we were able to sell this series to iHeart. We really hope for a second season, but we also hope to take this to other formats like TV, let's say.
It would be a great TV show. I learned so much from doing this. I really think we could not have done it without the 7 years of doing Dateable. We would have been floundering. We would not have been able to pick up on it. I feel like, what was it, Tia's with the cool girl? We immediately knew. We're just like, yep, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
We've seen this before.
Diagnosed.
Some of them weren't as easy to diagnose, but there was a lot that we could pull from past Dateable.
Yeah.
Learnings, understanding, talking to all of the experts, talking to all the thousands of daters we've talked to. So thank you all for helping indirectly create this, because without you listening to Dateable, we would never been able to do this.
We got to thank our original exit interview subject, Jason, who did the episode on Dateable that inspired this whole series. Thank you for making that episode so wonderful that we've been using it nonstop as a pitch for our exit interview. And Jason has agreed to come back, right?
Oh, Jason's ready anytime.
Yeah, part 2.
We should have him on next exit interview.
The exit interview.
I love that we're volunteering Jason, but Jason is a moderator in our Facebook group. He's one of the hosts in our sounding board community. We changed Jason's life.
Yes.
So the exit interview is life-changing. Honestly, though, we gave him confidence, and half the battle in dating is having the confidence and getting out of your own way. We always say that. Like we said, there was no character flaw or something inherently wrong with any of the daters that we talked to. It was simply perceptions, misconceptions, and all of the like.
But also have to hand it to Jason for being open to feedback. If you're not open, then who cares? Who cares about listening to all of this?
All of our daters, all of the folks.
Yes.
We'll give them a shout out. All of them were just so open, so willing, such great people to have part of this experiment.
Thank you all for being part of this. Thank you to our team at Frolic, our team at iHeart. Thank you to our team at Little Scorpion Productions. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you to everyone who's listened. If you have not yet, we'll say this again, binge the seasons. Only 12 episodes. It goes by really fast. You can get it done in a weekend. It's wonderful listening. I've had so many of my married friends
Yes.
hooked on this
Yes.
show.
Yes. It's for everyone.
because I feel like married people reminisce about their
Yeah.
old flames quite a bit. And they're like, this is bringing up memories for me. So it's for everyone. You don't have to be single or in a relationship to like this show. And we are really begging you to please give us a rating and review for Exit Interview and for Dateable. But right now it's critical for Exit Interview because this is, again, when iHeart will reevaluate if there's a second season. Of course, we love to help out more of you, get more of you on the show. So ask for that second season through rating and reviews. That is the loudest you can speak to iHeart right now.
Yes.
And we could really use your help to galvanize around it.
Yeah. And if you've already binged all of Exit Interview, of course, you can go back again. There's always new tidbits that you pick up. But you can also go listen to the OG Exit Interview, Season 8, Episode 1. It's called Exit Interview with Jason.
Very hard to find. Fabulous. Well, we appreciate all of your feedback. Oh, see, we appreciate your feedback too. And your reviews. You can always reach us by DMing us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast or by emailing us hello@dateablepodcast.com. We are still continuing with Dateable and Brunch Talk every Wednesday and every Sunday. So that's not stopping, but why not add a third show to our plate? Let's just keep Exit Interview going. Let's do it.
Keep it going. Okay. Well, hope you enjoyed this special episode, and we'll see you next week.
And in true Dateable fashion, we're going to wrap up this episode. Stay Dateable! The Dateable Podcast is part of the Frolic Media Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram at Dateable Podcast and visit dateablepodcast.com for access to all the episodes and our premium programs. Also, make sure to subscribe today if you haven't already on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform so you are the first to get all the latest episodes. And most importantly, stay dateable.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.